Yes.
All right, special meeting, North Smithfield Town Council, June 26, 2025. Madam Clerk, can you start us with the prayer and the pledge, please?
Thank you for bringing us together today in a spirit of generosity. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. May we discern your will to unite in a fruitful outcome. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Here.
Mr. Christofaro.
Here.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Here.
Ms. Alves.
Here. All right, we're going to move executive session down to the end of the meeting. And then open session, that will go after executive session. So number 5, discussion by council vote or other action on FY25-26 budget. A, continuation of public hearing. Do you want to open it, see if anyone wants to speak?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christofaro.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Would anyone like to get up during public hearing? Sure.
Hi, Mike Davis, 151 Douglas Pike. I just wanted to comment, I know tonight you'll be setting the rates after the revenue. So I remember it being a kind of an issue maybe 2 revals ago with choosing how to reset the rates, because I believe residential rates went up a lot higher than commercial. So I just ask you to keep in mind that while you only have to lower the rates by the amount the values went up, that I think it would be good to consider that residential went up, say, 30-something%, where commercial was in the low 20s. So potentially, if you were to lower both rates, homeowners would get a big tax increase. So just ask to keep that in mind. And then I think the second thing, you guys are changing the tangible cap. You know, maybe down the line, I know you couldn't do it this year, but there should be a consideration of, do we need to change that differential between residential and commercial of 150%? Because
that's state law. The 150% state law. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
That's state law. The 150%. The 225. The reason we were able to take it away is because the state law changed and allowed us to change it. But
so you'd have to change the state law. Yeah,
we had to abide by it because our charter wasn't, our ordinance wasn't in coordination with the state law. So the 150% is still in effect.
All right. So if I remember, then maybe what I'm thinking is you'd have to ask the state. So anyways, my point was that it seems reval after reval, house values are going up a lot higher because there's a housing crisis, not necessarily a commercial space crisis. So I'm asking just to do your best to keep the homeowners in mind. So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Motion to close the public hearing on the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christofaro.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on adoption of 2025-26 proposed budget. I know we finished the expenses on Tuesday night, and there was some discussion to go back through. Does anyone have any items they'd like to revisit?
Administrator, I'd appreciate your input on this as well, if you don't mind. But I noticed that in the past, I guess it went up, but in the past we would put we allocated $800,000 a year towards road repair. Now, that has seemed to have gone up to 1 million. Is that right? Am I seeing that right?
It was my understanding it was always $1 million.
No, it climbed to a
Yeah.
million, but it got there last year, I think, because of the reimbursements from
Yeah.
the state.
And-
Was offsetting the difference.
And
Right.
and the state reimbursement is still there, but the state reduced it this year in the budget.
So this, I know that some people are gonna be like, oh, he's gonna, the roads, but, it's also about the taxes. So, what about if we go back to 800 on that and not 1 million, and we can save $200,000 right there? Cause in the past, we've always done 800, and then just last year, I guess it went up. So since we lost that match, why not go back to, the 800?
I understand what you're suggesting, Councilman. My concern about that is, notwithstanding your objective, which I agree with, is that there are a bunch of roads in this town that have really deteriorated to a very significant level. If we continue to allow them to deteriorate, we're going to go past the simple stage of resurfacing, and we're going to have to go to reconstruction. And that's going to cost us 3 times as much money. So I'm really worried. There's a handful of them. I've spoken to the Public Works Director about them. He's right now trying to finalize their list of roads for this year. I would think this is the year that we don't want to cut back on that. And I'm saying that only because I think next year, I think it's going to be a much more difficult budget.
Only, if we can go back to 2017, 2018, when Gary Ozofsky was the
TA.
TA. So the whole plan came together because the whole idea was we were gonna put 800, that was kind of new back then, and it was kind of like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. But the plan was we were gonna put $800,000 a year, all right, and we we're gonna start chipping away. And then eventually, we would spend that 800 and then get through the roads, and then now we can get the roads on a schedule, you know, it may be a 15 or 20 year schedule, but it was every 15 or 20 years, maybe we'd be able to come back and circle back around and start all over again where we began. I understand that, you know, we have roads that have to be repaired. The 200,000 is not gonna get all the roads repaired that have to get repaired.
No.
So, are we better off thinking of, because right now we have, if you ask me, I think when we ran the numbers last week, I think they're a little high. I think that the percentage, I think we gotta do better. So we gotta stop finding little places here and there. And I'm thinking maybe go back to the 800. I'm nothing radical, but just go back to where it was before we got the match from the state. That's just my opinion.
We do have some money in the reserve.
300,000, I think.
It's
around
300,000.
102, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it 100? No, for,
Left in our current budget.
No, we have 102, we have 1,900 from 23, and we have
Oh, they're
101.
talking reserves, okay.
Yeah, in the reserves, yeah.
Yeah. I think we have $300,000 that are still left in the operating account for roads.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
That we will reserve.
Yeah.
How much, 399?
No, it's, I think just shy of 300,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's 300,000 we haven't used from last year, right?
Yeah, I don't know if there's any outstanding liabilities as it relates to that 300,000. That's accounting for them. Okay, so that's something you could just roll over, and theoretically, if you want to stay at the million, you can reduce the budget, and then you have the carryover, and you'd still be at $1 million.
It's 200K right there.
And I absolutely understand that. I'm a taxpayer in town too, so I get it. I just want to caution that we are cutting a lot of capital accounts right now out of being fiscally conservative. The problem with cutting back capital is that we delay investment, and the cost to bring it back up becomes even more. And I'm just worried that next year we're going to be in a situation where we are not going to have any money for capital. and therefore we're gonna be compounding the delay in the projects. That's my only gut feel, I'm sorry. I'm just concerned about things like school funding. The state's opening up Pandora's box as it relates to the funding formula. That concerns me really greatly, and then we have some union contract that is hopefully going to be finalized in the next month. So I'm just trying to be cautious not to delay capital costs too much before all of a sudden, like me, I know I need to replace my roof. Maybe I can kick the can down the road a couple times, but then it's going to get really a serious problem. That's all I'm saying, just to be cautious here.
Okay.
I just know in the past, there's, like, going back probably like early years that I was on the council, there was some years that we really cut stuff so we wouldn't have a tax increase, and then we did no road repairs for many years, and now we got to the point that now we have so many road repairs we need to make, and I think at least this one, the residents get to see the progress being made, where I think it's a little bit easier to swallow, knowing that the infrastructure is trying to keep up, you know?
Well, I'm not, the only reason why I'm suggesting it is because, just to bring it back, I'm not saying we should go lower than the 800. I'm just saying we should bring it back to where it was before we got, and the reason we brought it up was because there was a match, right, from the state? So it would have been crazy not to. So
Yeah.
now that when that match isn't there, maybe bring it back.
Yeah, and not, and my only purpose for making comments is to provide context, that's all.
No, I asked you
No,
for your
no,
opinion.
and I appreciate that. The problem is that the cost or the value that we got from $800,000 when Mr. Izovsky was the administrator versus the value we get today, those costs have skyrocketed. So what we're getting for $800,000 today is probably half of what we would have gotten when Gary was town administrator. So that's another problem that we're kind of dealing with right now.
$1 million doesn't pave much road.
No.
I understand
Yeah.
that.
Unfortunately, it
But then
doesn't.
we'd have $1 million, then if we have 3, so that would at least give us 1.5, so it might get us a little bit further.
Or you could look at the possibility, if you have $300,000 under the current operating account unexpended in roads, carry that forward to the next year, then cut out the $1 million down a little bit so that you're actually coming out the same level of $1 million.
Maybe go to 900.
You could achieve what you're trying to achieve but without shorting the town.
You want to, would you
Maybe
be
split
interested
it.
in thinking about splitting that? Go do it.
Nine. Well, especially since we have money in the reserves.
Yeah.
Where are you getting the 300,000 in reserves from?
It's 300,000 in the current operating budget.
Operating
What's left?
budget, unexpended.
Unexpended, yeah.
And then there's 101 in reserves.
And honestly, there's no reason to think
102.
that if we did give the $1 million and then you'd have like a, 1.5 in there, there's no reason to think that next year we wouldn't end up with money left over. So now we're taxing people that have money sit there doing nothing.
I would hope it's not unexpended.
Well, it was
Yeah.
this year.
I know. I think part of that problem too is that the DPW had 5 roads that were done last fall by a certain contractor, and DPW wouldn't accept it, and they had to come back and basically fix all 5 roads, and I think that really had DPW underwater as it related to that, and probably kept them from spending the other $300,000. They wanted to make sure that the contractor that they had under contract did their work right. So I think that's part of the reason too. Just again, as the backdrop.
Theoretically. Well, what do you think? Would you be opposed to splitting that? Instead of taking away the whole 200, just do 100? I honestly think that when we ran the numbers last, we still gotta start sharpening our pencil. I think we're still a little high.
Does DPW have a list of roads that they are focused on?
I've asked the director, they said they were in the process of finalizing that list, and he was going to sit down with me once they did that to go over it, because there are 3 roads in particular that are in really serious disrepair right now, fairly significant roads in town. So I don't know what that final list is yet, Councilman.
So I would just be curious if those 3 roads are, you know, $1.6 million, are they 800,000? Just, you know, it'd be kind of, make the decision much clearer.
Well, does anyone have any other items they wanted to review? Because maybe we can come back to this one and see if we didn't have any adjustments, then we can maybe, you want to do that?
Sure.
One item that was top of mind for me, and I feel like we're talking about kind of peanuts in comparison, but, and I feel bad talking about this while Rich Keene isn't here, but Memorial Town Hall, so we're allocating $20,000 to 2 windows. It's a lot of money, and I know that it's our building, and obviously we want to ensure that we keep that in the best shape as possible. But I also don't necessarily know, and please feel free to educate me on this, but does the public get to use this building? Like, how are we able to access this building, or is it specific to the North Smithfield Heritage Association? So I just don't know if I can justify $20,000 on 2 windows, especially if it's not a building that we get, that is readily available to the public.
I can't answer the question in terms of the overall public use of the building. I can state that the $10,000 per window is not surprising for those kinds of windows. They're like these here. They're very expensive. But beyond that, I can't add any context to that.
And did he mention something about a Champlain grant for that? So is it cheaper?
Said not to ask for a Champlain grant this upcoming year.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Because he's been asking.
Every
He
year.
gave a lot already, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has a
Champlin
grant
told him to
replace
hold
some
off for 2
windows.
years.
Yeah, he has a grant to replace some of the windows, but the large windows, he was looking for $20,000 for $10,000 apiece, so that would be 2 windows. I'm just having a hard time digesting that, especially if it's not a building that is readily accessible to the public. If we're looking to cut costs somewhere, maybe we do $10,000 for 1 window instead of $20,000 for 2, but again, I know that it's kind of peanuts in comparison to $200 for road repairs, but just my 2 cents there.
I did write down 38,000 Champlain Foundation grant.
That's for all
That
the
was for the
windows
other
in the
windows.
building,
That was
I
for all
think.
the other ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, if the budget committee.
So I wear multiple hats. So I serve as the treasurer of the Heritage Association, so I don't know if I should speak as the treasurer or if I should speak as the chair of the budget, because when it came to the line items, I recused myself for the budget committee side. So I'm gonna ask, should I speak as the treasurer then in this instance?
If you can
to speak
educate
to
the council as
grants?
to the
Yeah.
heritage use
I'm
of the
gonna-
property, and I
I'm
think
gonna
that might
defer any budget conversations then to Mike, who's here as part of the budget committee,
would
and then
work,
I'll
yeah.
talk as the the treasurer of the Heritage. So, the building is open and available to groups if they want to use it. You know, there's been multiple committees for the town that have met there, private groups as well. I know the plan is to get the building back up to kind of like in a usable state where I think more people can access it. The Heritage Association just leases the building on a contract basis. Most of the grants funds that have been used from the Champlain Foundation have already been pretty much itemized and expensed. So it's not like it's like we're sitting on that money. That money's pretty much already all accounted for. And as Rich had reiterated the other day, that's a 2-year cycle, so we can't even go to the Champlain Foundation again for a few more years. So the intent is to hopefully, you know, phase it, so any delay in funding would ultimately result in the delay of that project being completed. And, you know, you're talking $10,000 this year, but, you know, tariffs and other things, who knows what inflation will look like in the future. You could be talking about like 15 plus per window probably. So it could go down, could go up, but I know the Heritage Association would appreciate the funding just to keep that project moving and complete with the renovation of the 2nd floor so that it can be fully leveraged and utilized.
Yeah, if I could add too on that, if we're not leasing that building to the Heritage, it would just be falling in complete disrepair.
Right.
It would cost us hundreds of thousands, if not over $1 million at some point, to either knock it down or bring it back. So it's really a small amount of money in the whole scheme of things to keep it going.
Yeah, there's been a lot of already the Heritage Association does use a lot of grants from private funds. Champlain Foundation, the Ambulance Fund, state Senate grants, I mean, pretty much everything but federal funding right now. So we do use a lot of that. That money pretty much comes right in and comes right back out in terms of renovating not just the memorial building, but the schoolhouse as well. So both of those buildings have been undergoing massive projects. Memorial's the current one right now.
Thank you, Doug.
Hopefully that helped.
That helped, thank you.
Yeah, stop by anytime.
All right, I just had a couple of items I just wanted to kind of go over. So, in the police department, there is $25,000 for, maintenance, sorry, one second, vehicle repair maintenance, there's $25,000 in the budget, under town council. And there's also $25,000 sitting on the, reserves. So I'd like to make a motion to rename the FY25 capital budget, police capital, in the amount of $25,000 for vehicle maintenance and repairs. That's a motion.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, and not just to educate me, what does that do, Kim?
It basically takes out the $25,000 in the budget because we have $25,000 sitting on reserves, and we're gonna rename it for
Okay.
police, vehicle maintenance and repairs.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other discussion?
You got that?
All set? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And then also staying with the police department, maintenance agreements for North Smithfield Police Department, there's a total of $17,594.77 in their budget. Going through, worked with Tony and Jerry Ann on prior years and what actually hits those line items. And looks like it's safe to bring that line item down, reduce that line item by $5,000, so to bring it to $12,594.77.
So we just bring it to 12,000, why we are, talking about pennies on a budget.
Sure, we
is
can bring it down
crazy.
12,000.
For which one?
So that's gonna be the, maintenance agreements for North Smithfield Police Department, if we can lower that $17,594.77 to 12,000 even.
Oh, okay. Bear with me.
That's a motion.
Second.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
This is for, like monthly, oil changes and?
No, this is
brake checks
just
and
maintenance
stuff?
agreements, so whatever they have for maintenance agreements, so it's probably like the janitor and stuff like that,
The
right?
janitor's different, it's for, it's
Like
just
copy
for
machine?
base, like random, yeah, the copy machine, for
Anything
kind
that
of
has
just random
maintenance on it.
maintenance
Okay.
things.
Somebody that's like in
Yeah,
cruises.
preventative HVAC stuff, which taking out the 5,500 takes into account what they've spent this
Okay.
year to cover all that stuff.
Okay.
All right, so that's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And then one more line item in the police department, it's software and licenses. Their total budget ask is $50,713.86. As you can recall, just a couple weeks ago, they brought a purchase before us for over $11,000 because they had a surplus in this line. So again, looking at their prior expenses from prior years, it's safe to say that we could reduce that line item by $10,000.
Already.
Oh, did we
Yeah,
already
reduced
reduce that?
to 30.
You reduced it to 30,
So I can still reduce it another 10 though, right? Okay, sorry, so we're reducing it to 20.
Even though they spent 36 as of May of
They
2025?
had two big expenses this year that weren't part of their budget because they had surplus.
And those are included in that
Yeah.
36?
Yeah, in the current actuals, there is two big software, one in the beginning of the year and one that the council just approved recently. There were two big software purchases.
So big meaning 11
One-
plus?
11
was
grand and another
20.
one was almost 20.
Yeah, one was 20 and one
So
was 11.4.
30,000.
Mhm.
So you're still 16.6?
Mhm.
And they're not gonna have anything they're gonna need for
Not that I was
moving
aware
into
of,
upgrades?
not that I've been told.
Education and training for the, oh, do we have a motion?
Not, yeah, we're in the middle of a motion.
Okay, sorry.
So we have a motion and I believe a second, right? Did anyone second me? No?
No.
All right, so that was a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
No.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Education and training for the North Smithfield Police Department. I think we had discussed on Tuesday that rather than the 30, we would increase to 40 based on some of the insight that was provided. Historically, I mean, it looks like this year we're only at 30. I think he said there are 2 officers that are currently in school. Do we think 40, could we shave 10,000 off? Do we think that 40 might just have been a little bit overzealous? And I believe that was my recommendation, so I can take accountability
I think
for them.
with the police, opportunities come up all the time to go to different schools, take classes, and but different opportunities, schools come up all the time. I would,
That one's such a spitball.
It is a spitball,
Such a
and the
spitball.
bottom line is, if we get an invoice, we have to pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that there's 2, he had said that there's 2 in school right now. One of them's in grad school, and it's a pretty hefty
Okay.
invoice. I want to say, when I had tallied up the total that he'd given us, I want to say it was like just under 20 grand between those 2 officers alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would just be
So in the
hesitant.
event that we have more officers
Right,
in
I
school-
just remain conservative on that budget
Okay.
item, just in case, because we can't do anything about it.
Okay.
Can I move to capital in highway?
There's just one change
Oh,
I need to
sorry.
make in, as I was re-going through the Excel sheet last night. There wasn't a link to FICA for one of the items. So FICA for North Smithfield Police Department should be changed to 233,110.94. It wasn't linked to the, yeah, the change in overtime that we had done last night. So it's
So it goes
233.
from 231 to 233?
Yep, 233,110.94,
110.94?
correct. And then I have one in dispatch too, but we can wait to do that.
Do we have to make a motion to approve the new total for the police department, since we just took 10,000 out,
We took 40 out.
took 40 out?
I'm sorry?
So we need to make a motion to change this one, and then do we need to make a motion for the total police department?
Correct,
Okay.
unless there's any other changes in police departments before.
Okay. All right, make a motion to change the FICA in the North Smithfield Police Department to the amount of $233,110.94.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. So does anyone have any other changes for police before we get a new total?
All right, so new total is 4,621,149.07. That's 4,621,149.07.
All right, I'd like to make a motion for the new North Smithfield Police Department contract, including capital, is in the amount of $4,621,149.07. That's a
Second.
motion, and we have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Here she is. Yes.
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 Yes. Okay.
And then just one small change in dispatch. The FICA, same thing. The new number for the FICA in dispatch is 20,638.33.
20,638,
0.33
and then the total number in dispatch?
is 346,650.85.
Okay. All right, I'd like to make a motion to increase the FICA amount in dispatch to $20,638.33. That's a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And then to approve the total dispatch budget in the amount of $346,650.85.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Well, Claire's gonna have to do the Pledge of Allegiance, isn't she?
All by herself. All right, can we go to highway? So the capital that we approved was $50,000, and that was, again, for more heavy equipment. And with the reserves, we have, with the street sweeper, we have, like almost 400,000 or so. So I'd like to make a motion that we remove the 50,000 in the budget for this year and have the reserves spent in the year, and then we can go back and look at future years to increase the.
I'll just zero the line.
Yeah, I mean, that's up for discussion. Does anyone have anything?
He did, I thought he was pretty articulate when he was stating about his needs for, he did bring it down. We were gonna do,
50.
we were gonna do 75, and he agreed to 50.
Yeah.
And there's also that, truck that spreads the brine that hasn't been fixed yet, that I would like to see that on the road. That's been a couple of years since that's been on the road. Administrator, you'd know more about this than I would, but I mean, there must be a few other things that need fixing over there, and
I'm sure there's a lot of things that need fixing, but I think the challenge is that, given the fact that they have chosen to go to the path of finding quality used vehicles as opposed to going out and purchasing new vehicles, means that there's a longer lead time to identifying those vehicles. So I think the challenge of just saying, okay, let's spend the 400 that you have and be strategic about it, and then once you spend that $400,000, come back next year for another capital expenditure. I'm not sure of the grand scheme of things, although I would love to give them I'd like to see all new vehicles there, but we don't have that kind of money. But at least, spend the 400 that you have, and we can reconsider it next year, because they've been slow to spend what they have, in part because, like so many other things that we've been doing, which we're gonna have that conversation in the future about how we keep putting money in the budget, but we don't spend it because we know that money isn't enough to buy what you want. We're putting into like a savings account, if you will. That's been taxing the taxpayers.
right.
And it's not being deployed. So the money that they've been taxed on already, the $400,000, spend it, and then come back next year.
So just ratification, I just tallied it up. There's 342,000 in reserves for
Right.
Including the street sweeper.
Including the street sweeper, yeah, 342, 176, okay. All right, I'm gonna entertain a motion. I'd like to make a motion to zero out the capital in the highway department for FY 25-26 budget. That's a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Should I make a motion that we combine all these into one heavy equipment line, or does it matter? Yeah, just make it neater? All right. All right, can I,
I
Can I-
honestly, the only reason it's like this is so that when people ask, how long has that been there? I can show them exactly what year that it was reserved
so
in.
you'd rather have it like this?
I know it's messier, but I'm the one who works in the
It's
spreadsheet,
our
and it
baby.
works for me, and I can answer questions better because that history's kind of there.
That's fine.
As
I
long
was
as
just
you
trying to
don't
clean
mind.
up your line.
I'd much
I
rather have
appreciate-
Jerry Ann happy than Tony, trust me.
And I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah, no, if I could make less line items for you. All right, so we're okay with that one? And then I personally just had one other one that I wanted to bring up for discussion.
Madam President, I
Oh,
think you have to
sorry.
reapprove the highway total.
Yeah, what's the amount?
So it's 4,060,343.66.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised highway budget in the amount of $4,060,343.66.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And then I just had one more, and I know we had a lot of discussion on this, so I'm sure that we can have some more on it tonight, but, capital under Parks and Rec, the 117,000 that we kept going back and forth on, I know the 100,000 was for the playground and 17,000 for the irrigation system. The more we talked about it the other night, and we brought up the fact that we should have some sort of study done at Pacheco Park, like where, like, maybe that's not the right area for the playground or the concession stand, and kind of have a whole study done of that area. And the more I thought about it, I'm just wondering if by doing this 100,000 now, if we're kind of jumping the gun on it, where we have reserves money for Pacheco that we could do this study. And then once we have this study, and if there's any grants available, this would give us something to present, because we would have a plan. So I'm just wondering if we're just kind of maybe asking for this ask a year too early. That's just my thought.
I got the impression it's a couple of years too late, actually, right, from the way he was talking about
Well,
things last night,
I think,
the other night.
I think the playset is past its prime, but to just, I mean, $100,000, the way we're talking about it, is not gonna give us anything near a playground set. So I'm just wondering if we're just gonna be throwing money at something just to say that we have it in reserve.
I think the only, and to go back to the conversations we had on Tuesday evening, I had referenced the fact that I had had conversations with the DPW director regarding a capital project where there was some money that could be was going to be in there for some alts that we didn't do, and that money could be redeployed to come up with a park plan for Pacheco, really doing a complete assessment and a complete vision for that park with clear investments that have to be made. So I think that's what the council president is referencing. I think the only concern that the DPW director made was that he's had some issues with the trust as it relates to the play structures, and the fear that the trust could come in all of a sudden and say, you know, you got to close the park down. We're not going to let people, there's a liability there. So it's a difficult thing. Right now, we don't have any park-related grant programs are out there, and I don't think we're going to get any clarity on that for probably 2 months. But every time there is a park grant program available, the match is very high, typically to the tune of about 50%. So we just have to keep that in mind, that that money theoretically could be there as a match, but yet we don't even know if that program's even going to be there. So I guess if those kind of if you wanted to eliminate it from the budget without a defined way to spend it now, they could always come back if there's a grant program out there that needs a match, and go to the council and say, you know, could you allocate some funds for that out of your capital fund balance? That's always an option. But right now, I can't tell you, this is out there, we're gonna go get it.
Has repair of, you know, existing equipment there been explored? Like, we've been talking about replacement.
Yeah, I can't answer that, Councilman, I don't know.
And then the other thing is, with the $1 million for the Hallowell property, passive recreation, or is this playground active recreation? Could we think about building a playground over there if we, you know, have that $1 million and we don't necessarily have?
Yeah, the $1 million grant was very specific to passive recreation.
Swinging's pretty passive.
Not for me, it isn't. It's very active. Yeah, I know there's been a lot of conversations about the Hollowell on a second phase, for instance. My fear is that we've got to make sure that we maintain what we've got before we expand our park resources, because we can't seem to stay on top of what we already have. So that concerns me. Pacheco clearly is the focal point of our parks, and that's the one that really seems to be declining. So redeploying or using Hallowell as a recreation facility, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. But it is a passive recreation grant. It's walking trails and things like that. Again, walking for me is active.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion, see if it passes. I just think we're kind of going, I don't think we're ready for this one yet, but I'm gonna make a motion to reduce the Parks and Rec capital by $100,000 so we can look into doing a park study prior to putting money on reserve. That's a motion. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So to do the study, there's money in reserves?
Well, there's money in Pacheco. There is.
25,000.
Tony, what was that? Was that on?
Where was
Thought
it?
he since had those spent, or wanted to use that for the entrance upgrades.
So there's 30, almost 40,000 for the entrance piece, and then there's 2024 capital reserve, there's 25,000. So there's two separate line items for
So
Pacheco itself.
I get the impression that if we do this, we're getting nothing, because Ray made it pretty clear he wanted to try to maintain those items to do the entrance. So now if we're saying, okay, we're gonna take your 39,000 or your 25,000 to do a study, we get nothing.
Well, we could always, if they came to us, if they had a proposal for a study, they could always come and ask for us to find the funds, whether it come from somewhere else throughout the year, or maybe there's somewhere else on reserves that there's money that we could borrow from when it finally comes to us.
I equate some of these things to paying or tolling on roads. So, you know, there's a lot of discussion about tolls on roads, and people don't want to pay tolls. But if the money you pay to use the road goes back to fixing the road, I'm all for it. Similar to, you know, having money, all right, yes, we're taxing people on some money. Maybe it's not being used that year, but if, you know, the story is that, okay, we have a plan to put this playground in effect in 2027, but we need to start budgeting for it now, like, how is that? I don't see what's wrong with that, as long as, you know, the result is there. We've been talking about this entrance at Pacheco for years and
Yeah, we
years
have.
and years and years and years. So now we're just putting, you know, it another year behind potentially if we take that money, so. Maybe we don't need 100, like, I would like to have a better understanding of, or something, maybe we spend some money, have someone go do a report on that playground and say, you gotta take this slide down, you gotta, you know, fix these 6 swings, and then you guys are good to go. Beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I haven't been there in years.
If I could do clarity on that, just to get back, because I made a reference to some funds that could be redeployed out of DPW. I think it had to do with the Maori Tower, and there was some additional money that the DPW director had talked about using for a park plan. They would have to come back to the council for that. But that, there was, I think, at that point, $25,000 he was talking about, and we can maybe use that as a focal point just to focus on Pacheco Park right now. Come up with a hard plan on what are we going to do, so that when you start making decisions about allocating capital for that, there's a clear plan. And it says, this is how much it's going to cost. You need to deploy X amount of dollars every year for the next 3 or 4 years to bring it up to speed.
And did we end up using the, under planning, there's 4950, did we end up using that for the scouters? I can't remember.
I believe that money, you mean for the hazardous?
Yes, I did a little research with the planning director. That money was just put in the wrong category because it had the same vendor being used as, I think it was the Hallowell master plan. It was BH&A was the same vendor, and it didn't have a description, so I thought it was Hallowell. So those two numbers kind of flip-flopped. So the 4,950 is 0 now,
Okay,
and the Hallowell master plan is higher by that amount.
okay. Is it from the budget committee? Because we already closed the public comment.
I mean, it's just something I was thinking of for the budget.
Is it from the budget committee?
No, I was just gonna say we classed the line item to Chico Park improvements.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can move up anything, we can move anything around, but, I'm just wondering if really reserving $100,000 for, I just have a feeling it's gonna be on this reserve list next year, and we're not gonna have done anything with it.
And I'd like to comment, you know, the sports at the elementary school, nice playground, well, some kids are playing, the other kids are on, all the activities there. It makes for a little less chaos while it's going on. Pacheco's, since, as long as I know, the baseball, they had tennis, etc., and they had it well maintained when they maintained that, and they even had parents running a concession. But there was a place for the kids to, you weren't worried, everything was safe. And I don't know if we start, and just start with some good quality swings at different levels. You know, the older ones want to go this high, and we want the younger ones to just go back and forth. So that we can get something, make sure it's maintained, and make sure there's something for those kids at that field. There's no more tennis courts, because it's taken over by parking in essence. They had basketball, really, there's nothing much left in that area. And it's one part of the town, and even up next to Bushy, they have a mini area for kids with new swings, etc., for a small area. So I'd rather see you spend it now and get it going. So you can't get everything at once. At least take down the parts that are not safe, and they are not safe. Unless your parents are right in back of you when you're doing any of these, or using these apparatus. But get them something.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Claire. We have a couple of parks in town. They call them parks. One on St. Paul Street. It's kind of a
Nothing.
joke, right?
A guy maintains it,
It's some,
and he
right, and it's some plastic,
And we made some
toys in there.
promises there, if
Right.
you remember.
and then we have the one over down by the cemetery.
Yes. And that's completely taken out now.
Right, there's nothing, so I would, we gotta put more, it's a quality of life issue, really. We have families in the town, and these parks should be maintained better. It's a quality of life issue for the families that have young children. My daughter, I brought my daughter to Pacheco all the time. You know, that,
Absolutely.
what,
It's
15?
the same.
13 years ago, it was, everything was in great shape over there.
Yeah.
So, I think right now, we just said we took this 4950, that went to Hallowell Master Plan, so that goes away from anything at Pacheco or Scouters Hall, right? So in reserves, we've got the Pacheco Park entrance, 39,000, capital reserve, Pacheco Park, 25,000, to do something, right? So why wouldn't we, it seems like we've got two parents in here that frequent Pacheco Park and roll their eyes when I said maybe there's things that can be repaired or slides that can be taken down. I'm not gonna give up on that hope. I think that there's gotta be something there salvageable for a year, maybe 2 years, I don't know. But, you know, put in motion to have a study done or have an assessment done that says, hey, you know, we're gonna end up spending this much money to do the entrance at Pacheco Park. To put in a new playground, it's gonna be this. But at least let's make sure we put the money there to, you know, get that started. Maybe we put a little bit of money to do some repairs, you know, buy a few new swings, I really don't know. But at least there's something that, you know, at the end of this, we've got a plan that says, okay, we're gonna have, you know, this new entrance, new parking. We've talked to the people who own the building next door, you know, 2 years, 3 years, we're gonna have this beautiful new playground. But, you know, to take it all away after, Ray was very, very adamant about it. The likelihood or the possibility the thing gets shut down is there. Again, the parents are saying it's pretty horrible. I would, maybe not 100, maybe we, you know, we say 50,000 and it's earmarked to start putting the plan in motion to move forward. Because, you know, I used to, like John, my kids, you know, we used to go there every day when they played baseball. It was nice to, you know, have somewhere for the younger one to go for a little while. And then they, you know, I think that was the medium park.
If I could also chime in, and I wish I could have had a conversation with my director about this. The money set aside for the Pacheco entrance to me is probably a less important challenge than it is for the play equipment. The entrance to Pacheco is a much more complicated issue than just putting a sign up.
Permitting.
Well, it's not just permitting, you've got a really convoluted way of property owners and access and not sharing of parking. And I think that there needs to be a more strategic approach dealing with that whole thing there, which I don't think is going to be addressed this 12 months. So maybe instead of committing the funds to the Pacheco entrance, you put them into the park instead, into the play equipment and stuff, and understand that the interest is not as important, I think. The Pacheco's not going to get shut down because of the lack of signage at the entrance. It's going to get shut down because the play equipment's dangerous. To me, that's a much more of a priority. But again, I haven't had the privilege or opportunity to talk to the director about this.
So are you proposing that we I know that you wanted to talk to Ray about it first, but are you proposing that we reallocate the two reserve figures for the playground in addition to the $100,000?
Why don't we, why not use the 25 capital reserve for a study or, you know, planning, and then put maybe 25 or 30,000 towards, you know, maintenance for the playground equipment, you know.
I think we're going to come to you with a plan on where the money is already for the study. So I wouldn't want to use hard money for a study. I think we have critical issues right now, so I would suggest that whatever that study is going to cost, we'll come back to you on a redeployment of some monies that have already been allocated to deal with that. And let's just focus on the allocations for the play equipment and figure out how much money you're willing to do that for. You know, again, I just think that the entrance is not as important.
I'm smiling because it seems like everybody came around to my fight for the $100,000 playground equipment. But I appreciate David's recommendations here, and I think even if we just decreased it, let's say 50,000, if there's any opportunity for repair there, or have an assessment done of the playground equipment. Is there such thing as buying used playground equipment?
No.
No, well, Claire.
I'm telling you, after, in this area, because as you go on, the safety rules change on what kids can use or not.
Well, I wouldn't repurchase equipment like the playground that we have, Claire, but I'm saying maybe there are other, there are other playgrounds that have been decommissioned in the state of Rhode Island where that equipment might be.
Yeah, I can't answer that question, but my gut feel is if it's already been deployed, recommissioning, it's not gonna work,
Okay.
because it deteriorates really rapidly.
Yeah. Okay, well, do we want to discuss what amount we do feel comfortable with then? If it's not 100,000?
As much as we can.
I mean, I would like the 100,000, but I can understand that we want to be
I get,
conservative.
yeah, I get the philosophy behind the 100,000. We're probably not gonna spend 100,000 this fiscal year.
Unless we
just-
find a grant that requires a match.
And then even if it did, I'm sure we could find reserves or funding somewhere, right, Tony? It wouldn't be the first time we send you on that task, right?
So is the only purpose of this 117 just, it's not for general capital, it's for just
Yeah.
specifically that playground?
Yes.
In
Well,
the
the
event-
17 is irrigation.
Yeah.
All right, so there's 100,000 that, it's almost could be a separate line item that would say playground equipment. That's 100, right? So that 100,000 is just for playground? It's not for general?
No, it's
Capital.
just at playground, I think.
Just playground, yeah.
But the thought was that they could potentially use that as a grant. That was the lion's
Or
share of the
get a grant.
conversation, or the match, rather.
Yeah, but, wait a minute, yeah, playground match and NSES irrigation.
Oh, I'm just looking at the other sheet.
So if you look at it how it's worded, like you say, we don't have anything
Right.
that would put us ready to submit something for a match of a grant.
No, we do not. We do not have anything right now.
Right.
And if we did,
we
it
need
probably
to-
won't come out until fall. So that by the time we put together a proposal and get an actual grant award and get out for deployment, we're probably pushing the new fiscal year. The only key is the ability to provide matching funds if a grant opportunity surfaces. Now, with that being said, there are many times we apply for grants and they say there's a match requirement, and I say in the grant application, yeah, we get the match. Because to me, I'd rather get the commitment and come back to the council and say, okay, do you want to do this or don't you? Where are we going to find the money? But so, even if the money's not there, they're not asking for the budget to prove it. They're just saying, do you have the money?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against, I mean, it would be great to have a new playground, but I just don't think that that's even a drop in the bucket of what we need, and
No,
we don't really
absolutely.
know what we need, so, you know.
So I think if we can settle on maybe a happy medium, it's easier to find 50,000 than it is to find 100 later, right, Tony?
Well, we already have over 50 in
That's right.
reserves if we needed
That's
to
correct.
just rename it. And then, because you just said we're not gonna do the entrance for at least a year, right? So if we had to use what's in reserves, we have 50.
I don't want to speak on behalf of the director and saying that we wouldn't use it in a year. I'm just simply saying as, I don't think that is as important as it is the issue that we're talking about
Yeah.
right now.
I could support, not that my opinion matters, I could support 50,000 because there is 25,000 in the current year budget for playgrounds to start squirreling money away for it. So I could contribute another 50,000, try to find another 25 in reserves at that time if we needed 100 in fiscal year 26. So 50,000 is good.
I like that. See,
All
Tony,
right,
you
so
just found that one.
I'm gonna recall my motion then.
I'll recall my second.
Okay.
Then,
Well, I think Claire seconded,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
That's, yeah.
but then do we need to make a motion to reduce the capital on the Parks and Rec from 100? So I will make a motion to reduce the capital item for the playground match from $100,000 to $50,000.
Second that motion?
Thank you, Claire.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So just to be clear, though, that line item is going to be $67,000 because it also has the
Yeah.
irrigation.
The 17, yeah.
Do you want me to make mention that?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, they can mention that the total capital for Parks and Rec will be
67.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
I don't know. I'm gonna say, I'm a no on this.
You just said yeah.
So are you saying yes or no?
You changed your mind?
No, wait a minute. Let's make my vote clear. I'm saying, all right, let me rephrase that. All right.
You said yes, then no, so.
Right. I'm for, as long as it's for the, what we're talking about is for the playground equipment, then I'm yes, yes, right?
Yes. Well, I can rephrase it if I want to get another vote out of you.
So, no, it's just that I want to make sure that we're not taking away from capital from, like, fixing fences and,
Right.
things
No,
like that.
no.
Okay.
Mr. Biragad.
Try it again.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Okay, so now the total of highway is,
300
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec,
oh,
yeah.
sorry, Parks and
catch.
Rec.
391,107.83.
No, because it was 441 with the capital. So I'd like to make a motion to, for the revised Parks and Rec budget with capital for the amount of $391,107.83. That's a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Anyone have any other items? And, John, if you want to go back to roads,
Yeah, where is that?
or if anyone has any other items, Drew?
What page was I on? Do you remember?
506, bottom.
No.
It's like two from the bottom, John.
Yep. All right, so what I was talking about was the $200,000, the $1 million that we have allocated for road repair. And originally, I suggested that we go back to the $800,000, because that's what it was before we upped it last year, because we had a match that was going along with it. So since the match is gone, I was suggesting going back to the 800. We could shave 200,000. I know it's not a popular decision. I know everybody's about roads, and sometimes you gotta make the tough decisions, but, it's also about taxes as well. So, I'm gonna suggest that we split it. If we, instead of taking the full $200,000 off it, we take $100,000. So it'd be 900,000, reallocating to 900,000, not 1 million. It's still more than what we had. It's 100,000 more.
I think I'm comfortable with that because we do have money in reserves, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we could use as well. And then there was also other funding, did I hear?
The state has a 30% match program. That's still in the governor's budget, but it was reduced to only a total of $7 million in the budget.
Okay.
So it's first come, first serve.
Okay. And then how, you said that the director of DPW was going to provide an understanding of like prioritization of paving?
Yeah, I reached out to the director last week and asked him if they've developed a priority list on roads. And he said they were in the process of finalizing that, and as soon as he had done that, he would sit down with me and go over that list.
Okay.
Did you say 900, John?
Yes.
Yes.
So we'd still have like 1.3, right? I mean, with the reserves and stuff. Was that a motion?
That is a motion.
And you second?
No,
I'll
we
second.
didn't make a
He
motion.
did,
So moved.
he made a suggestion.
Oh,
Now it's a motion.
All right, so I'll make the motion. So I will make a motion to reduce the highway repair from $1 million to $900,000.
Second.
I'm taking away $100,000.
okay, so that's a motion, and did you second?
Second, yeah.
Oh, no, second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Anyone have anything else? Oh, wait a minute, we need a new total, right?
Yeah.
Another new total on
Another
that one.
New total is 3,960,343.66.
Motion to approve the newest highway budget, including capital, of $3,960,000, $960,343.66.
That's a motion, is there a second? Any, roll, I'm sorry, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. House.
Yes. Anyone have any other items and expenses you'd like to revisit? Anyone?
No.
All set?
Well, for now, right? I mean, can we see where we are?
Yeah. Tony, can you give us a new total for now, or no? Yeah.
So the new total for expenses for general fund is $55,352,785.09.
That's with capital?
That's including everything. Yep.
And how much of a percentage increase is that from last year?
Would you like that? Yeah,
Mhm.
2.13.
No, that's the
Oh, talking about the levy or the increase of expenditures?
The increase.
4.37%. The levy is at 2.13 right now, before we touch revenues.
Okay. Anyone have anything else you want to go back to before we start revenue?
You good with that?
Huh?
That expenditure increase is wrong. Hold on, bear with me. From the prior year. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that then. So, what I was gonna say is, from last year's budget at 53 million to this year's budget at 55, it's all in school. It's essentially the same, right?
Think about it, it's a good thing we didn't have to increase the school budget, otherwise we'd be screwed.
Yeah, because it's, right, it's 53.
And Tony, if we are going to stick with that total of $55,352,785.09, what is that increase over last year? Last year's adopted budget?
That was the 4.37.
4.37%?
Yes.
4.37%. Okay.
So, in dollars, it looks like most of that is in the state aid school line item. It's $2 million difference right there. Right, if you took last year's budget, just over 53 million, this year's proposed at 55.3 million, and that one line item for the state aid and school went up $1.5 million, well, yeah. Close to
it's a pass-through, so we put it on the revenue.
the other night, we were talking about the, when it got late, we were talking about the capital for the, oh, sorry, for the, Pacheco. I know who's telling you that.
No, I was just looking at it.
She can hear you here.
So is that on the revenue side too, or do we take that out? Remember there was some discussion about that capital, it was on the revenue page also. Did we take that out, or?
Yeah, yeah, and yesterday I also took out, through revisions of what we had done last night, during our meeting, I didn't take out the fire department's, I think it was the server project, the server upgrade, yeah. So I removed that as well. So it is reflective of all changes in grant revenue and use of fund balance. So,
But that's not
To answer your
on-
question,
that's
yes.
not on ours, right? So did ours change?
so your grant revenue in general government, your new number is,
Payment,
Yep.
grant revenue.
it's the third,
Half of the radio for EMA, right?
yes, yeah.
And this number's gonna include half of the radio from EMA that you put in the budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it went from 81,868, right?
Yep, to, the new number is 47,094 even,
Okay.
and your use of fund balance is 75,000. Which is the line right under.
I'm sorry, how much is it? Use of fund balance?
75,000 even.
All right. So now we're just going line by line, well, like totals?
Yeah. So the numbers on our revenue,
As of right now, all the numbers are accurate, other than the two, oh, and one more, EMA reimbursement, sorry. I had to change that, reflective of the changes that we had done last night. So EMA reimbursement, it's a single line, that went to 12,500. But everything else it should be up to date on your sheet.
As opposed to 10,000?
So then what would be the total revenue?
And then I'll just need to update your, provide you with the current, the first department's, new number, because it changes as we move along.
Okay.
You wanna
You-
know?
You have to give it to us?
Yep,
I
you wanna
forgot how
know.
to do the revenue side.
Huh?
I forgot how to do this front.
You
page.
can do it by, line by line, or you can do it by department, no different than what we were doing for expenses.
Okay,
I would do the current year taxes, just because that one's,
That's
Based on
that's
the
the levy,
levy.
that's the
Yeah.
levy itself, so yeah, I mean, yeah, she's right.
so we're just going from probate down?
Yeah, but start with current year, well, yeah, I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
come back to current year taxes, yep.
Okay.
how much input on this do we really? How do you?
I mean, you're just gonna look at what fiscal year this year, what they're proposing, and see if you agree with that number, really, because some of them are going down, so whether or not you agree with that, and then we could either accept what's on here, or we can propose something different. All right, so, revenue, so for probate court, we have a budget of $20,100. Make a motion to accept the budget amount of $20,100 for probate court. That's a motion? We have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Municipal court, $60,000. Like to make a motion to accept the budget of $60,000 for municipal court.
Second?
Motion is second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Town clerk line, the budget is $290,110.28. Like to make a motion to accept that number in the budget.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I think the only thing that I would ask is if the department estimate is 282,000 change versus the town council or the budget committee proposal, I would be more apt to align with the department estimate because they're closest to that information, that data.
One thing to add, though, just, I would normally agree, is the TA and the budget committee, their assessment is closer to fiscal year end, so they get
Okay.
more data as they come along.
Okay.
But yes, I would normally agree to align yourself with what the department says, just because they are intimate with the data that comes in. But the budget committee did a pretty good job at analyzing every line, so did the TA, as to what the actuals were throughout the process.
Okay, thank you, Tony.
Yeah, like the real estate stamps, like, been some pretty significant numbers there. Like 214, 216, 240, so 2024 was 150. So is that an average, the 169? No, it's gonna be higher than that. Again,
Well, they're probably taking, unless they're doing it by prorating it.
so what are the ramifications of this being, yes,
In the event that the revenues are wrong, you underfund yourself and run the risk of running a deficit for the fiscal year. If expenditures were 100% met and we didn't underspend or overspend, and you undermet your revenues, you're running a deficit in a vacuum, essentially. And when someone, just for further clarity, not that it is needed, but on a GAAP basis, as we continue to use reserves, that is also actualized in that fiscal year. So as we use reserves, that goes against what we are earning in revenue and using expenses as well. So the more we're using revenues, the more it looks like we're running a deficit as well. So just keep that in mind.
Well, based on the information provided, I'm aligned with the 290.
Okay, so I think we have a motion and a second, right?
yes,
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Okay, for planning for application fees, let's see, so the department is requesting 7,000 and our town clerk column is 12,000. Would anyone like to make a motion?
If I could just pipe in on this a little bit, I did circle back with the planning director, and I made comment on Tuesday that we had quite a few things that were, in the pipeline, which would make me feel better about although it's in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of money, the $12,000 figure. The planning director was a little bit more cautious about that, because the assumption is that these projects are actually going to move forward to that stage. So again, the overall budget, we're not talking about a lot of money here. I'm just saying that he was concerned that that was a little bit too optimistic,
The 12?
the 12.
Okay, anyone like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion err on the side of caution and go with the $7,000 from, which is in the administrator's proposal
For planning.
for planning, yes.
So that's a motion. Is there a second? Any further discussion?
Madam President, this is from the budget committee, that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to explain what happened, so you vote. Essentially,
Just one point of order. Did you say that Mike is going to answer any?
only for the
Just
heritage,
for- okay,
essentially.
just
He's
wanted-
more than happy to chime in
No, no, I
if
just
you
want to make
feel.
sure. Okay.
You'll notice later on down that there's a reduction of like only like 5,000 in zoning, or down to 5,000 from what was presented. Essentially, all we did is we moved the difference from zoning to planning, so it's really just like an accounting adjustment. So if you're gonna adjust planning, you're gonna have to adjust zoning, because we put some of that zoning money into planning, anticipating changes because of all the state legislation. That's all. So if you cut it, you have to up zoning. You can't just remove it completely, otherwise you'll be reducing the revenue
So
completely.
it's just flip-flopping, really?
Yeah, yeah, I just took the difference and put it into planning.
Got it. Because they decreased it. So, all right, we have a motion and a second. Are we continuing that? Yes?
I'm still good with that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
No. Municipal, total finance, municipal lien certificate fees. So the department is projecting 6,000 and town council column is 6,500. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the $6,500 budget for the finance department.
It's a motion. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Police, the department projected budget is 60,500 and the town council is 60,800. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the town council police budget for $60,800.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Animal control fees, the department is 1,000 and town council is 1,500. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the town council budget of $1,500 for the animal control.
That's a motion. Is there a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. EMA,
So
the,
it's actually $12,500 now, right?
mhm. The department request is 10,000 and town council is 12,500. You want to make a motion?
I would make a motion to accept the department budget of $10,000.
They asked for,
The department asked for 10, town council, for some reason, changed to 12,500.
That was because of the
Grant
reimbursement
The grant,
for the
it,
grant.
yeah, it's justified behind the grant, yeah.
Okay. I'll
When you
rescind.
change the cert budget, it's 100% match, he said.
Oh, that's right, okay. So then I will accept the 12,500 in the town council for EMA.
Second that motion.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Building and zoning, the department is 150,000 and town council is at 170,000.
This is where the budget committee advised, to add the 5,000 from planning to here, if you're gonna lower planning.
Okay.
So, so per the budget committee, I can say they requested the budget to be 175,000. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Budget Committee's recommendation of $175,000 for the building and zoning budget.
Second that motion?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Highway fees?
Why is
So-
this so?
So this is a new line item that we
What-
created.
What is this?
It's for any rental fees on new trash barrels and trash bags that they receive.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect.
Gotcha.
Okay, so highway fees, town council column, due to a new line item, is 17,500.
I'll make a motion to accept the $17,500 budget for the highway fees.
I second that one.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Tony, can you just give us the current total amount for town council and the general government?
The expenditures?
The revenue?
Oh, the column for the revenue total, sorry. 55,352,
Oh, no, just the general
Total
government.
general government, sorry. 1,016,257.37.
1,016,000. Say that one more time, Tony, sorry.
Yep, 1,016,257.37.
All right, general government, the department estimate was $978,368.81. The town council budget is $1,016,257.37 per recommendation of finance director. Anyone like, I'll make that as a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Total school other funding. Department estimate was $650,000 and town council $650,000. Anyone like to make a motion?
Can I just ask, how come there is no no actual amounts for previous years?
That's a pass-through, so it's not actualized, it ends up being an audit adjustment afterwards. But, yeah, if, let's see, 860. Yeah, so if you look at your expenditure side, your Medicaid and your CTE tuitions, that's those totals in the school budget. Yeah.
Oh, but wait a minute, didn't it change by 50,000? Because we have
It's-
700,000 on,
It's formula linked, so when I changed it, it changed as well. So it's at 650,000, on the expenditure side, it's 150 for Medicaid, 500 for CTE.
but, oh, so just ours, so you changed your version, ours didn't change, right? Because we have 700 in the town council. So I just want to make sure that we still match, right?
Yeah, so the total, sorry, thank you for catching that, is 700,000 for that line.
So it's the other way around?
Yeah, yeah, it's all three items, not just the two. The cell was linked to the budget committee's number.
So should this be changed to 700,000?
Correct. That line is 700,000.
All right, and so, but the department didn't have that, they still had just 650, right? So it's just on our end, that 50,000?
Correct, yep.
Okay. All right, so again, other school funding, department request is 650,000. Town council is 700,000. And what, I'm sorry, what was the difference of the 50 you said?
So it was the increase of the CTE tuitions.
Okay, which includes the increase of the CTE tuitions of $50,000. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the $700,000 budget for school other funding, inclusive of the additional $50,000 for CTE tuitions.
Okay, that's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. So before we start the rest of the school, did the state aid numbers on our sheet change, or?
Yeah, the numbers,
No.
yeah, 93. Oh, you do? Oh, never mind. I guess not. Okay.
So our numbers are right?
Correct, yeah, so you should have 9,315,977, 149,721, and 68,000.
Okay, yep. Anyone like to make a motion regarding the total state aid? Departmental estimate was $16,334,037, and town council was $16,229,561.
I'll make a motion to approve the town council number at $16,229,561.
That's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. All right, so now we wait for you.
Do you want the total revenues?
Mhm.
So, that first, I guess. Yeah, so the current year taxes all the way back at the top is 36,083,456, sorry, .44. So that's 36,083,456.44.
Okay.
And then the total for that department is 36,755,956.44.
36,755,956.44.
Correct.
All right, so total tax revenue, department estimate was $38,733,365.10. Total town council is $36,755,956.44. With current year taxes being at $36,083,000.
83,000.
I can't even read my writing anymore.
83,456.44.
Okay, thanks. It wasn't 83,000 though. Yeah, it was.
36,083,000.
Yeah, got it. Anyone wanna make a motion?
All right, I'll make a motion. I'm gonna have to get both of those numbers.
I got them right here.
Do we wanna go with department or us?
Well, we're gonna go with ours, yeah.
So I will make a motion to accept the current year tax revenue of $36,083,456.44, and a new total tax revenue of $36,755,956.44.
Second.
That's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
So Tony, what does that net change factor out to be? I know that there was a,
What it was, I don't
The
have what it
pers-
was before. You're
it
talking
was
about what it was.
2.77 net change.
Oh, she wants this one.
I know that it's,
Just the tax revenue?
yes. 2.37.
Total for revenue?
Total for revenue, yeah.
Total for revenue for the general fund is 55,352,785.09.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the total revenue for 2025-26 budget in the amount of $55,352,785.09.
Second.
That's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. All right, we match.
Would you like your new levy?
Sure.
1.99.
What? Really?
Yeah, 1.99%.
The percent.
Are you sure?
I swear to God.
Wow. Boy, we should make TV for like doing so well, right?
Yeah.
Michael,
Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
No, that's really,
Oh.
Yeah, the CTE thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, what do we do next on this one?
Okay.
All right, so now we have to, oh, this is when we have to read that whole thing, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna create it, I'm just gonna revise it real quick. You guys can do something else, and I'll come back.
Should we go into executive really quick? Like break for executive, then come back out? Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, so while we calculate the method of tax collection, I'm going to make a motion that we go into executive session, which is closed. Discussion by council vote or other action regarding executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5. A, any discussions or considerations related to the acquisition or lease of real property for public purposes or of the disposition of publicly held property wherein advanced public information would be detrimental to the interests of the public. 1, land transfer, title, insurance, solar lease agreement, termination of conservation easement regarding AP14 Lot 7, 8, 105, 254, AP10 Lot 218. That's a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
yeah.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes, so we'll take 10 minutes you need, Tony?
Right, probably, yeah.
All right, so we'll take a 5-10-minute recess.
I'd like to make a motion to reconvene in open session, indicate that one vote was taken, and to seal the minutes.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. House.
Yes. All right. All right, discussion by council vote or other action on method of tax collection. So this has to be read into the record, right? Oh, my goodness. All right. Method of tax collection. Shall this town council vote as follows, that the finance director be and is hereby authorized to pay each order when approved by the town council, by the school committee, thank you, or by the director of public aid as the case may be. That the finance director be and is hereby authorized to apply receipts for the interest on overdue taxes toward the payment of interest on bonds and notes of the town. That the finance director be and is hereby authorized within the consent of the town council to hire such sum or sums of money as may be necessary to carry on the business of the town for the ensuing year. That the finance director be and is hereby authorized to pay the town's debts and interest. It is hereby resolved that the North Smithfield Town Council, in a meeting legally assembled on June 26, 2025, hereby orders a levy, apportionment, and collection of a tax on the rateable real estate and tangible personal property in a sum of not less than $36,871,384.13, nor more than $36,921,384.13. Said taxes are for ordinary expenses and charges for the payment of interest and indebtedness in whole or in part of said town and for the other expenses or purposes otherwise authorized by law. The tax assessor shall assess and apportion said tax on the inhabitants and rateable property of said town as of the 31st day of December AD 2024 at 12 o'clock midnight Eastern Standard Time or Daylight Savings Time, with exception of new construction as the case may be according to law, and delivered to and deposited the sum in the office of the town administrator on or before the 30th day of June 2025. The town administrator, on receipt of said assessment, shall forthwith make a copy of same and deliver it to the finance director, who shall forthwith issue and affix to said copy a warrant under his/her hand directed to the collector of taxes of the town, commanding him/her to proceed and collect said tax of the person and estate liable therefor. Said tax shall be due and payable no later than the 15th day of August 2025, and all taxes remaining unpaid no later than the 15th day of August 2025 shall carry until collected a penalty at a rate of 12% per annum, unless specifically abated by a vote of the town council under Title 44 of the General Laws of Rhode Island, 1956, as amended. Said tax may be paid in 4 installments, the first installment of 25% no later than the 15th day of August AD 2025, and the remaining installments as follows: 25% on the 15th day of October AD 2025, and 25% on the 15th day of January AD 2026, and the remaining 25% on the 15th day of April AD 2026. Each installment of taxes, if paid on or before the last day of each installment period successfully and in order, shall be free from any charge for penalty. If the first installment or any succeeding installment of taxes is not paid by the last date of the respective installment period or periods as they occur, then the whole tax or remaining unpaid balance of the tax, as the case may be, shall immediately become due and payable and carry until collected a penalty at a rate of 12% per annum from the first quarter due date or the last satisfied quarter, unless specifically abated by a vote of the town council under Title 44 of the General Laws of Rhode Island, 1956, as amended. Quarterly payment option shall not apply to any tax levied in an amount not in excess of $100, in which case such tax shall be payable in a single installment. Kinda. Okay, that's it for that one, right? You don't take a motion or anything, right? Oh, all right. So someone would like to make a motion to accept the method of tax collection?
So moved.
To approve the method of tax collection.
Do we have to read it again?
No. So we have a motion. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on setting tax rate for 2025-26.
We can't do that yet, but we still need to, go back just after this, we still need to go through water and sewer revenues.
Oh, we didn't do that?
Not yet.
Okay.
But that's it after that, very quick. Yeah. Second reading,
So do that first, or?
sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
get her out of here.
All right. Discussion by council vote or other action on amendment to Code of Ordinance, Chapter 301, Taxation, Article 3, Tax Classification System, Section 301-18, Tax Classification Duties of Assessor. Ms. St. George, second reading.
So, again, this is the second reading to change our town ordinance, because a law passed last year granting $50,000 in exemptions for to be exempt tangible values. Let me start over. A law passed exempting all tangible assets 50,000 or less as exempt, and anything over that they would have to pay per the tax rate. But according to the law, the tax rate cannot go more than what it was last year. So our ordinance states that tangible property rates shall not be more than 225% of the maximum allowed class of commercial. But that basically is voided by state law because the rate can't change. It can go down, but it can't go up past what it was. So we're gonna change the ordinance to, just the last line, to Class 3 property rates shall be set by the assessor as required by state law. So basically taking away the 2.25%.
And this is just basically to bring it up to meet the state law?
Yeah.
So, making a motion to accept it as second reading?
Actually, to approve it.
To approve the second reading?
Actually, the adoption, Madam President. First reading, obviously no action, it's just accepted by law, by your charter. The second reading is when you adopt it. And then it gets posted, and we put down it's passed, it's approved upon acceptance, but it has to be posted for 20 days? It has to be posted for, I think, 20 days. I don't have the charter in front of me, and then it becomes effective.
Okay. So would someone like to make a motion to
No,
adopt?
we already did that. Didn't we already did the public hearing on this, didn't we?
I thought the second reading and public hearing was the same.
So do we have to redo this agenda to,
Yeah. I think what we're gonna have to do is continue, we gotta continue it to Monday. I didn't realize that.
so it's too late for Monday, right? On the agenda, or? Yeah, it's not on this public hearing.
Yeah, but not a
But
public
it-
hearing. Is a public hearing on there?
Can we just add that, or to the agenda, or is it too late?
Well, I think we can add it to the agenda, and if we add it to the agenda, we just post an amended agenda.
What's the, is it 48 hours?
Okay,
Okay, we're with
we got Friday, and it'll be, oh, that's right, huh?
Because it's 48 business hours, not weekend.
Can you give me a minute?
Yeah.
Let me just take a look at this and see if this is critical. There won't, I don't think there'll be any for this one. This is a corrective action.
That's because, yeah, we did.
So because it doesn't say public hearing.
It has to say public hearing and second reading.
Madam President, this is not a mandatory public hearing on this ordinance.
No?
You can pass it.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
I mean, you could have had one, and we always have one on all ordinances, but it's not mandated on this particular type of ordinance.
Okay. All right, would someone like to make a motion to adopt the amendment?
I'll make a motion to adopt the amendment to Code of Ordinance, Chapter 301, Taxation, Article 3, Tax Classification System, Section 301-18, Tax Classification, Duties of Assessor.
So that's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. And Monday should be quick. I'll give you options and
Okay,
just.
all right, thank you so much. Okay, let's go to water. All right, so we're gonna go back to the water budget for the revenues.
So I can provide you two numbers, the user fees updated amount and the total for water revenues amount. So the
Okay.
user fees
Mhm.
is, for water,
Yeah.
is $737,418.09.
737,418 for
Correct.
nine?
Yep.
Okay,
And the total is $784,818.09.
$100,000 less than the apartment request. Almost 90,000.
yeah, that was because of the, yeah,
Rate as of right now, as calculated from last night's changes, is at 10.52 from an 8.27. That's where it was. Let's.
okay, so now we're gonna, so we have to vote on the user fee and then the total, is that what we do?
I would say that's correct.
Okay, so water department, so the proposed budget for the user fees is $737,418.09. For a total water budget revenue,
84?
No, she's doing it now.
Oh,
You're
okay? Total water revenues in the amount of $784,818.09. Are we
That's
good?
what I got.
Is that what you got? Good.
That's what I got.
All right. So, that was a motion, right?
Yes. Motion, second. It
All
is
right,
now.
we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Okay.
I did make some changes on the sewer revenue per your approval. I did add an extra 60,000 to interest income. I've been doing a pretty good job at getting more money with the money with their fund balance. So I felt 100,000 is a pretty good number. So, and then I added that so that the rate didn't change. I didn't think that the rate should go down. So I added that $60,000 difference onto the expenditures in the fund balance under capital. So your capital, total capital
Yeah.
is 775,844.69. So that
And-
extra 60,000 will essentially go towards that fund balance.
And then the total sewer expenditure is this,
Is 2,968,864.66.
okay? And then the total sewer revenue is the same amount?
Total sewer revenue it's not the same amount because there's certain revenues that are excluded from
Okay.
operations,
All
but
right.
the total sewer revenues now are $2,994,864.66.
And the user fee stays the same?
User fees are at $2,559,217.21 with a rate of, total rate for sewer of 689.63
From?
from 689.37.
Okay, good. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the user sewer fees for fiscal 2026 in the amount of $2,559,217.21, with a total sewer revenue in the amount of $2,994,864.66.
Second.
That's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And then I'd like to approve the budgeted fiscal year 2026 sewer expenses in the total amount of $2,968,864.66, with the revised sewer capital in the amount of $775,844.69.
Second.
That's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
And one last thing is capital.
Okay.
I have it.
So now, do we have to go back to each department and see what we approved? Is that what we're doing?
Correct, yeah.
So DPW had nothing, right? I don't remember doing this piece.
Yeah, this is weird.
I don't,
Why
you know,
would we- Yeah, why are we talking about it again? Like, no way in hell did we talk about $5 million for DPW capital.
Yeah, what is that?
What are we doing?
so all we did was the Pacheco irrigation.
Well, it was Parks and Rec, I thought. Yeah, it was Parks and Rec. So DPW had nothing. Yeah, I don't know what this is. Playground equipment on here's 125.
All right. Yeah, so you just need to approve, if you scroll down under fire department, the rescues, rescue 1, 2, and engine 1, 2, those come through a different fund. So I just need approval to grab the funds in there and put it towards their fund balance, to later purchase those vehicles.
Time, what exactly are you looking for us to approve?
Approve the, essentially appropriation of 15,000, 110,000, 75,000, and then 71,662 for a total of $271,662 to be put towards their capital in Fund 120.
To go towards capital and what, sorry?
In Fund 120.
In Fund 120?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the name of the fund is EMS billing. It's-
EMS.
Yeah, whatever works.
EMS.
So, I'm sorry, I'm just not like, why are we approving 395,000? We only approved.
No, it's only the 271,662, the last 4 items in fire. The rest of those items are, you don't need to approve those, because not all of them were pushed through, like yeah, you can go, because we haven't done it last year.
Yeah, it wasn't done last year, but in prior years, it always was done. Whatever you approve for capital for Fund 120, what I do is I make a journal entry to separate their fund balance into what's set aside for the purchase of the replacement of these 4 vehicles, and keep that segregated. So when the chief asks, what do I have in that fund? I tell him, you have this much, but X amount is already set aside for the replacement of those 4 vehicles. So then I give him the smaller number of what actually is left that could be spendable. Yes,
So we
third-party
didn't-
billing.
We didn't do the 45,000 for the server, right? We only did the 78,900.
These numbers are probably
So-
not.
78,000, yeah. But you're not approving the fire department's capital as a whole here, you're just approving the line items that affect Fund 120. Because you've already approved capital in the general
Mhm.
fund. You've already done most of these items.
I'm sorry, I don't remember doing this at all, so what do we?
I've never
approving?
seen, it's never been in this format before. I guess this is the format from the planning board?
The planning board.
Yeah.
So we're just approving the appropriation of 200.
I mean, if you don't, it'll be like last year, so I won't make a journal entry to segregate Fund 120's, like, fund balance overall.
Where
This
is
is-
Fund 120?
This is just, Fund 120 is the EMS.
It doesn't
billing.
have a budget
Yeah, it's a third-party bill. Yeah.
from rescue services.
You're just moving money.
So what's the
That's all.
total?
It's
for-
You're earmarking it for these specific purposes so that it can't be spent on just anything,
It's just a
essentially.
formality, to be honest.
All right, so what's the amount you said?
271,662.
Yep.
And what items are that?
That is replacement rescue one, replacement rescue two, replacement engine one, and replacement engine two.
All right, so you need a motion to
To
approve?
approve the capital items and, yep, those 4 capital items.
In Fund 120.
And fund 120.
And is this, do we say for account 120?
For Fund 120, yep.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve the capital items for Fund 120 for the North Smithfield Fire Department in the amount of $271,662, which is made up of replace rescue 1 for $15,000, rescue 2 for $110,000, replace engine 1 for $75,000, and replace engine 2 for $71,662. That's a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. All right, so now where are we going? Oh, that's it? Okay. Oof, that was confusing.
I thought it would be more fruitful, so you guys could see all of the planning board approved. I can see now a little bit more.
I'm like, why, I've never seen this before.
Yes, exactly. This is like from the beginning of when planning board, when they presented all of their items for capital, they're saying, hey, here's everything. I figured it might be educational.
Okay, now, I think now that we understand what it was for. Okay, so now, all right, we can't adjourn because we have to go back up to open session, correct, for
Exactly.
executive session? Okay, open session. Discussion by council vote or other action on approval of any and all action in authorizing the execution of any and all documents necessary to effectuate the conveyance and transfer of real estate to the town of North Smithfield, purchase title insurance, terminate conservation easement, and lease real estate to Rhode Island Solar Renewable Energy 5 LLC regarding AP14 lots 7, 8, 105, 254, AP10 Lot 218. Documents include but are not limited to: 1, deeds of conveyance and transfer of real estate to the town of North Smithfield and purchase title insurance policy; 2, solar land lease agreement, the lease made and entered into by and between Rhode Island Solar Renewable Energy 5 LLC, leasee, and the town of North Smithfield lessor; and 3, termination of the conservation easement recorded in the land evidence records of the town of North Smithfield, Rhode Island. Okay. So, we want to make a motion to authorize the planner, the administrator, and solicitor as necessary to resolve the paving of parking lot and orange walking trails.
I think we should deal with the formal documents first.
Okay,
you know.
no?
So I'm gonna try to just state a motion that this is all inclusive.
Perfect.
And try to avoid us having to go through, I think the council is familiar enough with the critical documents that I can make an all-inclusive motion. If you want to, approve each individual document? Okay. So I think we could make a motion, I'll try to state it, I was trying to write it, that the council, the motion would be, and this, I'll state it, and if somebody is happy with it, we can then move it, okay? The motion would be that the North Smithfield Town Council hereby approves any and all documents.
Thank you, Jerry Ann.
And any and all action required to, again, I'm gonna use this language, to effectuate the conveyance and transfer of real estate to the town of North Smithfield, purchase title insurance, terminate conservation easement, and lease real estate to Rhode Island Solar Energy V LLC regarding AP 14 Lot 7, 8, 10, 105, 254, I'm sorry, AP 10 Lot 218, and authorize the administrator in his discretion to execute any and all necessary documents in order to effectuate the transaction. and complete it. I'm not gonna list the documents, any and all documents, he be authorized, and you familiar with them, and I've listed them on the calendar as the main documents, but there may be some, there's a title insurance affidavit that has to be signed, that the administrator would sign on behalf of the town.
Okay.
So that's the motion. I can restate it. I'll restate it. Want me to restate it? Or you fine with
Can we
it?
just, can I, yeah, I can just say so moved, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so moved. Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? John, are you thinking, or?
Nope.
Okay, roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. House.
Yes.
And I think, for the record, I should have added, but we'll make a second motion, that the council takes this action subject to legal review, planning review, and administrative review by the town administrator.
Okay.
And then we'll get to that point that you have on your paper.
And then read that into the record.
Right.
Authorize planner, administrator, and solicitor to resolve paving of parking lot and orange walking trails as necessary.
You feel comfortable with
Yep.
it, sir?
And that's a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Mr. Christopherow.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. House.
Yes. We're good? Okay.
You got the authority to take action, and we'll execute the documents and interact in the next couple of days with the buyer and the town.
Okay, perfect. All right, with that, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.